Last night was not a good night for One Punch Man fans. I think any sliver of hope that a lot of people may have had that season 3 may be at least decent, it's out the window. That ship has sailed off the Doom Island. It's done. It's done. And that's really around two major things that was released last night. The first being the 15-second trailer, which, honestly, from the perspective of somebody that's not like a big One Punch Man fan, this doesn't excite me at all. This looks like mostly just colored in manga panels or like one-for-one manga panels and not really much like action related, which is concerning. Why? The show's a month out. The show's coming out in a month and this is all you got to show us? This is not exciting. This is concerning. But yes, that aside, the other thing that was announced was the director, which is Shinpei Nagai. And yes, a lot of people are not happy with the pedigree that they're given. The works that this guy has worked on, or at least what he's been credited for, is not creating much excitement. And let me start off by saying, before I get any further in this video, leave this dude alone. Like, anybody out there that is unhappy with how One Punch Man is turning out, I understand. There's a lot of projects that I absolutely love that it sucks to see that it's given to somebody that doesn't look like they have a lot of pedigree to them. Or when you see the end result of what you love, it doesn't turn out great. It is upsetting. But the last people to attack is the staff working on the actual project. Because in a lot of cases, they don't have much control of what they're given. They're said, hey, this is your job. Do you want to work on it? Yes, I need to pay my bills. Okay, here's how much time you're given, how much budget you're given. Work with that. In a lot of cases, they're not given much. They're not given much at all. I want people to pause their frustrations, which I fully understand with One Punch Man, because again, this isn't looking good. I'll personally say, based on, again, on the trailer being a month out, it's not looking good. But do not attack the staffers. Because just looking into this whole situation, we're going to get into his comment that he made. We're going to get into some other stuff as well. Just looking into the comment sections, it's toxic as hell. People, please calm down and acknowledge that the people that have the power with a lot of these projects are the producers. So if you have a problem, go to the producers. Leave the staffers alone. But anyways, getting back to Shinpei Nagai, the reason why people are concerned is because, yes, this guy hasn't really had a lot of like big animation works that he has been credited for. A lot of it seems like his work has been really in the background. He does have a lot of credits, but it does seem like he does a lot of stuff in the background. And honestly, it's stuff that you would probably attribute to a director. But yes, his main roles of being director specifically isn't really much. I mean, you have like, I can't understand what my husband is saying. You have Dogiza, I tried asking about kowtowing. And yes, a lot of people are pointing out a lot of H stuff. A lot of H stuff, which, honestly, real talk here, people. Real talk here, people. Some of this stuff has better animation than a lot of your action series. Let me just be perfectly clear there. Some of this stuff actually has better animation than what you'll get in a lot of mainline properties. Anyways, it seems like, again, based on the fact that he doesn't have like a lot of like spectacular stuff to kind of have under his belt, he was concerned himself. And that's why apparently this didn't get out very quickly. As we see here, he made a post. He made a post after the announcement. And I want to note here, the post was wrote in English. He knew where the hate was going to come from. I think that's kind of telling. It's kind of sad that this dude knew where the hate was going to come from. He knew the hate was going to come from, yes, the West. He probably wasn't much concerned about the Japanese speakers. He wanted to go directly to the source of the problem, which is going to be mostly Western fans that are going to be probably upset about this announcement. Anyways, let's get into what he actually said. Hello everyone, nice to meet you. I'm Shinpei Nagai, the director of One Punch Man Season 3. I completely understand everyone's reaction. Please calm down and hear me out, if you will. I'll explain why I was chosen, and it might be a bit long, but please listen. I've been a freelancer from the beginning, and that hasn't changed. At 37, I wrapped up my apprenticeship and stepped into the anime world with a work called Hiro no Kakera. I learned how to create hybrid animation with 3D in a project called Aquarian Logos. After that, I switched to 3D company for just 1 year, contributing to image boards for Altered Carbon and such. My goal was always Manglobe. My gosh, that's a blast from the past, Manglobe. I honed my skills with episode 6 of Gangsta, which honestly I think was one of my favorite episodes, so good on him for that. Though I do remember, I think around that point was when the production started kind of going, the production quality started having issues. And Samurai Flamenco, amongst others. I was aiming for a hybrid of 3D CG and hand-drawn animation, but as everyone knows, Manglobe ended up closing down. In the midst of that, j.c.staff became a long-term partner, commissioned me for the storyboards and direction throughout the year. However, since I'm relatively unknown and don't have much standout achievements as an animator, I thought it might give a bad impression, so I asked them to keep it under wraps. I think what they're really basically saying here is, yes, he got pulled into j.c.staff and doing a lot of stuff, commissioning stuff for them to do storyboards and direction. And so I think a lot of this stuff probably wasn't credited. Again, I think a lot of this stuff is him going to be working in the background, doing a lot of freelance stuff for them. But because of that, he doesn't have anything really big under his belt that he can walk in and go, look at me. I'm your new director, everybody. Aren't you proud of me? It's going to be a great work, right? No. Everybody's going to go, Jude, you have H on your thing. Oh my gosh, H stuff. Oh no. He doesn't have anything stand out. And so, yeah, it's not going to look good. Everybody's already kind of concerned there's going to be kind of a crap show to begin with. j.c.staff working on it again rather than Madhouse. Everybody's already upset about that. He knew that this was going to look bad. And rightfully so. Again, nothing's looking good out of this whole project so far. Then when consultation for One Punch Man Season 3 came up, I focused on incorporating a new workflow, something I discussed in CG World, a bridging of 3D and 2D workflows, to squeeze out even one more second of production time. I'm curious what exactly he's talking about here, and I think it could possibly be the idea of utilizing 3D environments and then turning them into 2D environments and then animating the characters on top of that. Because I think I've seen another post that he made that sort of implied that. So the idea is in creating a 3D environment and then being able to flatten that environment and put the characters on top of it. That way you don't have to keep drawing each frame of a location or, again, just use a 3D environment completely. He's trying to do something that seems to help that flow a lot better and that process work a lot quicker so that they can animate each of those frames and make the environment kind of work around the character. I think that's what he's essentially saying there. And that could be very well. Again, this is a guy that's working in the background for j.c.staff a lot. At some point, they see this workflow that he has created that will increase that process, increase that time that they're able to work, and they're going to jump on it. This is exactly what we need in order to get this project done in this amount of time. Bring this guy on board and let him bring his workflow into here. I think there's a misconception that a lot of people have with directors, that directors have like this overall power, like whatever they touch is gold or it's rotten. And that's not really how this works. Yes, you have people like Keiichiro Saito, who worked on, Bocchi the Rock and Frere in Season 1. Yes, you have people like Akiyuki Shimbo, who, of course, does a lot of stuff with Shaft. A lot of stuff they touch is like, oh my gosh, incredible. People assume that because they see the director do this crazy thing, this director do this incredible thing, that the directors have like this all power. But in a lot of cases, the director are just kind of working on workflows. They're working on keeping the staff kind of functioning, keeping the workflows kind of going, helping people with certain kind of decision makings and whatnot. And that could very well be why they chose Shinpei Nagai. Not that he has like this crazy history of doing crazy animation, but more so the idea that this guy has a workflow that we need in order to get this project done. Which turns into the element of everybody else sort of being the ones that'll have to bring the artistic value across. Like the storyboarders, like the animators, the key artists, those kind of people. Those people will take and elevate the actual project, which honestly, in most cases, is actually what happens. It's not the director that ends up making something have an incredible action scene. It's the artists. It's the animators. Those people are what actually have those really cool cuts that we go, oh my gosh, that cut was so incredible. Anyways, he closed it up with, I sincerely apologize for keeping quiet about this. The team is giving it all on site. I can't discuss details of the production, but I'm open to answering what I can within limits. Again, I understand people's frustration with this. Again, I have zero expectations for Season 3. I think it's going to be mostly what you see in this trailer. I think this is what it's going to mostly be. It's going to be manga panels that are turned into animation in some way, maybe put a couple cool action shots in there here and there. But for the most part, I think this is what you're going to be looking at. I really have zero expectations for this Season 3. But, again, I don't think it's Shinpei Nagai's decision. Again, I think he was probably given what he was given, and I think a lot of the fault is really going to come down to the producers. The producers wanted to give it this much budget. They chose these individuals. They gave him this amount of time. And I think, in my opinion, Shinpei Nagai is just doing what he can with the project itself. I don't think this guy deserves a lot of hate. I think he's literally coming into this with a expectation that people are going to be upset, but he's going to do what he can in order to get the project done. Now, I think the other thing that's kind of coming from this whole situation is that people are sort of digging up a lot of his old tweets to sort of paint him in a negative light. I think one of the ones I seen was this one right here where it says, "I'm working too hard and can't sleep. My body hurts so much I can't sleep. I've increased my medications. Hold on for a few more days. Body. For now, I've taken painkillers and sleeping pills. I should be able to sleep for 6 hours." People are kind of saying that, j.c.staff is now kind of like torturing him and stuff like that. And I think it's kind of misconception here because if you look at like a couple days earlier, you find out this guy has a spinal stenosis. Like this guy is actually going through some medical problems. And so people are digging up posts where he's talking about like painkillers and stuff like that. And they're saying, "Oh my gosh, look, the anime industry's horrible." And it's not. This guy's got some medical problems. This guy in general has medical problems that he is dealing with. And so not all of his posts are going to be about like j.c.staff has him like tortured in a room and forcing him to animate and stuff like that. I really hate when people kind of take random posts out of context and saying that this is a sign the anime industry is horrible when people have legitimate like medical issues that they're dealing with at the same time. They're sick. Like they just got a normal cold and people think that it's because they have health issues because of the production. It's not always the case. This guy does have a medical problem that he is dealing with. I wish him the best, that he can get over that. But pegging this all on the production is just not right. The other post that I seen was this one. This is the one that a lot of people are liking to post around as being like him lying and that he's a horrible person that is never going to work on One Punch Man. He says, "I am a director who specializes in romantic comedies and short anime. I have never worked on action projects like One Punch Man in my career. Considering all that, don't you think the probability of me being chosen is close to 0%? Ozawa-san is the only person I know for over 10 years who I can vent my complaints. I'm sorry for not meeting your expectations." And people are seeing this and going, this guy claims that he only works on romantic comedies and short anime, and yet he was given this. If you actually look at who he's replying to, he's replying to somebody back in July who was trying to get him to leak that he was the director of One Punch Man Season 3. Again, back when he didn't want people to know that he was the director of One Punch Man Season 3. So the reply that he is giving right here is him trying to throw the guy off the scent that's trying to get him to admit it. This guy is a leaker, apparently. This guy is trying to badger people for information for his leak channel. And so he's just replying saying, "I only work on romantic comedies and shorts. Why would I be on the One Punch Man thing?" It's not him saying that he never wants to do this stuff or would never do this stuff. He's trying to get somebody to stop bugging him about him being the director. It's not that deep. It's not that deep, really. Anyways, I also found some other posts, some people kind of supporting him, say Nagai-san is underrated director. His public achievements may seem small to some fans, but he's a real Saitama who has saved many productions behind the scenes. As always, he storyboards at 8 times the speed of the average storyboard artist. Again, I kind of put this as in a realm that this is a guy that kind of works in the background a lot and may not get credit for a lot of stuff. So it's going to be one of those things where we kind of have to wait to see what's the fruit of his labors. Like, again, I'm not saying that this project is saved. I'm not saying that this guy is the golden boy. He's not going to save the project. But I think what I'm sort of getting an image of is that I don't think the production committee really has much care for One Punch Man as an anime format. I'm assuming that they probably get plenty of people going to the actual manga based on what they're kind of providing with the anime. And they're just making a season 3 because people are asking for it. And they're not putting much budget and whatnot into it. I think Shin Nagai may be the choice that is best for them to be able to pull off something with the budget they have. And I'm hoping that he actually pulls something off. Not that he will, but I have a hope that he will. It seems like he does have a passion for it. Based on looking through his feed, it looks like he's working really hard and it's very stressful for him. So hopefully it turns out well for him. But I'm not going to hold out hope for it. But again, I think it's important to acknowledge 2 different things here. One, harassing him's not going to change anything. And again, he doesn't have very much control over the project itself. 2, directors aren't everything. Directors don't always make or break projects. In a lot of cases, they don't have as much control as people assume that they have. And at the same time, it's not as if this can't be something that turns out good in the end. If I want to give people some sort of hope here, is the idea that every project has its own budget and potential that it can come out with. I know that a lot of people are upset that j.c.staff's working on the 3rd season when the 2nd season didn't turn out well, but I mean, here recently, Don Machi's recent season looked really incredible. They did a lot of incredible stuff with there. It really, again, comes down to who actually works on the project, how much time they're given, how much budget they're given. because a lot of the scenes in Danmachi, this recent season, looked incredible. So it's not as if the studio is unable to do anything incredible. If they get the right animators involved, they have a lot of time given to them, they can pull off something incredible. On the reverse, everybody upset that it's not Madhouse that's working on it. Yes, Madhouse here recently did Freren, but it's not as if everything they touch is golden. Gene of AI wasn't great looking. The Vampire Dies in No Time wasn't incredible looking. Yes, was season 1 better than season 2 of One Punch Man? Visually, hell yeah. But it's not as if it's always going to be golden. In the end, it is what it is. I feel bad for One Punch Man fans. Again, I've never been like a massive fan of this series. It's mainly because its comedy doesn't work for me. I really did like a lot of the animation in the first season was, my gosh, chef kiss. But at the same time, I don't really have like a hat in the game. And so I feel kind of bad for a lot of the big fans that wanted something like, you know, Demon Slayer. I think anymore, if there's like a show that's got a lot of popularity, people just want it to have, you know, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen type of budgeting and whatnot. And that's unfortunately not always the case. It's always coming down to who is the people in charge, what is the production committee itself, who's in charge there, how much money they actually give to a project. And again, it's very little to do with the directors and the animators and whatnot. Anybody, any animator, any director would love to make a masterpiece. And just a lot of cases, they're not given the tools to do that. No doubt, Shinpei Nagai, I bet he would love to be given 2 years to work on this project and unlimited budget. That way he can create literally the most incredible piece of art that he could possibly make. But sadly, in most cases, that's not actually what they're given. In a lot of cases, they're given 6 months to work on it, they're given a very poor budget, and they're forced to kind of make what they can make. Again, it all comes down to the production committee. But anyways, that's my thoughts on this whole situation. I want to get people perspective here, and again, a little bit of insight from Shinpei Nagai that I thought was actually really something that we weren't really owed, but thankfully he kind of gave people sort of an insight as to what he's done and what his kind of plans are, which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool to kind of see that insight. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it informative. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content and want to support channel more, become a member of the channel. Until next time, y'all take care.